This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Well, as most people know in this country, it's been 24 years since 9/11, 24 years since the worst attack on our country in our history. Some people are unaware of this. Some people forget. We said we'd never forget, but we did forget. 19 Muslim savages hijacked 4 planes on that morning. 2 of them flew into the towers, the World Trade Center towers in New York City. 1 flew into the Pentagon. Another one went down in the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, thanks to the courage, the heroism of the passengers who knew their fate and stopped this one plane from heading to D.C., where it was expected to fly into the White House or the Capitol. Instead, it went down in a field, and those were the first heroes of our war on terror that began that day. A total of 2,977 Americans, innocent Americans, perished that day. 184 at the Pentagon, 40 passengers on United 93. There was $10 billion in damage that day, just physical damage to buildings in those locations. The damage to our economy was in the trillions. It caused worldwide global recession. There were 343 New York firefighters who lost their lives that day, 72 cops. The victims came from 90 different countries, mostly American, but they were from all over the world. It's a day no one who was alive then could ever forget. It was an unspeakable tragedy, an unspeakable attack on our country, on our way of life. And I think it's burned into most people's memories. It's infuriating, it's maddening, it's heartbreaking what happened that day. Children were on those planes, lost their lives, many, many innocent people, families were destroyed. I mean, to be honest, it's the worst day we've ever had as a country. It was worse than Pearl Harbor. More people were killed. It was worse even than January 6th. Yep, I'm going to say it. It was worse than January 6th. It was.
Well, let's not get crazy.
It was singular in its in the tragedy, in the heartbreak, in the devastation to our country. And we swore on that day 24 years ago that we would never forget, that we would never allow it to happen again. We would be vigilant. We would be protective of our country. Well, regret to inform you today that we have forgotten. Yes, only 24 years ago, most people listening now were alive. Many of us have memories. I was live on the radio when the second plane hit. We learned from Katie Couric that morning, and we knew once the second plane hit the second tower that it was a whole new world, that everything had changed. We could no longer have just unfettered immigration, that we could no longer be so lax in our screening and our vetting. And we had to understand that these people, these savages, these killers, these monsters were out to destroy us. Well, some people forgot. Some people just don't seem to care that we were attacked that day, and we are attacked still, that they're waiting, planning, plotting to do it again, that there were people
1 second, technical difficulties. Just a few minutes. Good to go.
We're back to remind you that it's a little over a week, 8 days. New York City voters will go to the polls and they will elect a man who has forgotten what happened on 9/11, downplayed it, diminished it, marginalized it. Truly sickening. Another reminder, in 10 months, it will be the 25th anniversary of 9/11. It will be a big deal to New Yorkers, to most New Yorkers, to Americans. There'll be major ceremonies, remembrances in New York City, and the person overseeing these ceremonies, these moments of reflection, remembrance, is this piece of garbage you're looking at right here. This Islamicist, this extremist, this communist, this radical, this Trojan horse that is about to get wheeled into Gracie Mansion and run our largest and most important city. We have not just forgotten, we have lost our minds. This is utter madness. If this guy was to just the fact that he's an assemblyman in New York City is disgraceful enough. The fact that we are going to have him as the mayor of New York City, this absolute scoundrel, this fraud, this liar, this faker, he's pretending to be woke. He's pretending to be ultra liberal. He is not. He is a radical Muslim who is going to fill City Hall with like-minded radical Muslims and turn New York City into London, or worse. You are going to see a city descend into chaos and lawlessness and radicalism. And it is, we're going to sit back and we're going to just watch the city burn, but it should frighten, scare, concern every decent American that this is where we are. 24 years after 9/11, we're going to put a guy in office, a mayor. He's going to have 300,000 city employees. He's going to have a budget of over $1 billion a year. $110 billion a year. And he's going to call the shots. He's going to make the decisions. The guy, and we've gone through the checklist, he's going to open the prisons. He doesn't believe in incarceration. He doesn't believe in bail. He wants to open Rikers. He wants to decriminalize misdemeanors and sex work and drugs. He wants free buses, city-owned grocery stores, and ultimately, as he said many times on camera, he wants to eventually seize the means of production and outlaw private property. That's his ultimate goal. He is a communist. He is a radical. He is an Islamicist. He is the worst man we could ever elect to this position, and it's going to happen. The Kalshi odds are now 95% that this is the next mayor of New York City, the site of the worst attack on this country in our history. And here's what he had to say. This was on Friday. Here's what he said about 9/11, what he remembers about 9/11. This should be disqualifying. Hell, this should be frightening to every voter. They should run to the polls and vote for Curtis Lee or Andrew Cuomo or nobody. The idea that any American, any decent New Yorker, I don't care what race you are, religion you are, you want this man in charge of your city. The fact that he's just leading in the polls should scare the hell out of people. But for whatever reason, we have forgotten. Here is Zoran Mamdani just the other day in New York City reflecting on 9/11. Go ahead.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
His aunt stopped taking the subway because she didn't feel comfortable in her hijab. He talks about hate and intolerance and discrimination. It's all made up. It's just made up. He's not only downplaying the real tragedy of 9/11, which he is, doesn't mention the victims. He never mentions the victims or their families. They don't matter to him. What mattered to him was made up, fictional Islamophobia, a made up term. His aunt not only was he lying about her feeling uncomfortable on the subway in her hijab, she wasn't even in America. She wasn't here. The aunt is just made up. He's making this up, and that's beside the point. Let's just pretend it's real. Let's just pretend he's telling the truth. So what? She doesn't feel comfortable in hijab. You know what you can do, lady? Take it off. You can walk. You can deal with the dirty looks. Try wearing a MAGA hat in New York City. That's much more dangerous than wearing a hijab after 9/11. But again, his aunt was in Tanzania. She wasn't in America. He's lying. He's pandering to the Muslim voters. There's more than 1 million in New York City, and those who matter to him. Look at the people around him, by the way. They're going to be in New York City. They're going to be in City Hall. They're going to be making the big decisions about crime and education and tax. Those are the people you're electing. These people who hate this country, who have no interest in assimilating, who would love just the thought of Sharia law in New York City and no-go zones. That's what you're voting for in New York City. That's what these stupid wokesters, these cat ladies in the Upper East Side, and these students from Columbia and NYU and Barnard out there with their Mamdani signs, that is what you're voting for. Here's his aunt right there. Here's this hag. She was not in New York City. She doesn't even wear a hijab. Is there anything more despicable than lying about 9/11? Is there anything worse? That's the real victim in his mind, this made-up aunt who couldn't wear a hijab. That's the real victim of 9/11, according to the next mayor of New York City. No mention of the 2,977 innocent people killed, 184 killed at the Pentagon, the 40 passengers on the plane, the 343. Somebody said, what if you asked them, what does the number 343 mean to New Yorkers, Zoran? What does it mean to you? He would have no idea. But real New Yorkers, they know that number. They know the death toll. They know 343 firefighters were murdered by Muslim savages on that day. They mean nothing to Zoran Mamdani. This man, this iconic photograph, it's known as Falling Man. This man means nothing to Zoran Mamdani, this man who jumped from the tower before the flames could kill him. There were approximately 200 people who fell or jumped to their death because they were above the blast zone. The flames were closing in and they had no way out. So they jumped to their deaths. And these people mean nothing to the next mayor. The real tragedy is Islamophobia and his made-up aunt who couldn't wear a made-up hijab on the subway. This is so despicable. This is so wrong that we're doing this in our biggest and most important city, that we're allowing this man to take control of New York. And again, it's going to be a disaster for the economy. People are going to get the hell out. Companies are going to leave. Crime is going to be rampant. It's going to be awful for New York City. And we could sit back, if we don't live there, and just watch it burn. But that guy is going to be running the 25th anniversary of 9/11, who doesn't give a shit about the falling man or the other 200 people who jumped to their death, or the children who were on those planes, or the people, working in the windows of the world, the cafe, the restaurant, cooks and waitresses who died that day. Americans died because they went to work. These weren't soldiers. This wasn't a battlefield in war. This was a terrorist attack by Muslim fanatics. And he doesn't seem to give a damn about the damage. And you wonder, where did he learn that? Well, let's get to Mahmoud Mamdani. Let's get to his father. You want to be sickened. You want to be nauseated. This is the man who raised that disgusting, vile human being who's going to be mayor. This is his father. He's 79 years old. Let me just give you a little background from Mahmoud. He, I'll read right from his Wikipedia here. Zamdani was among many students. Wait a second. Mamdani was one of 23 Ugandan students in 1963 as part of the group Kennedy Airlift, a U.S.-funded scholarship program that brought hundreds of East Africans to universities in the United States and Canada between 59 and 63. Mamdani began studying at the University of Pittsburgh and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science. So we gave him his life. We flew him to this country. We gave him a free college education at the University of Pittsburgh. Then what? Then he attended the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University, where he graduated with a master's in political science and a master's of arts in law and diplomacy. He then went to Harvard, where he got a PhD in government. That's This is what we did. This country did for this piece of garbage. Flew him here, saved him from Uganda, gave him a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD. He's now a professor at Columbia. Remember all those protests where they were harassing and spitting on Jewish kids and occupying buildings and rooting for Hamas? This is their professor. Do you wonder how that happened? This guy is a parasite living off this country, the largesse, the generosity of this country, and he hates us. And it's beyond just a guy who's upset at, Trump or whatever, the taxing the rich or whatever. There's a guy who fundamentally, viscerally hates us, hates our way of life, and he's done nothing but leech off this country his entire adult life. Same with his kid, done nothing but leech off this country, and they turn around and hate us. Here is this scumbag, Mahmoud Mamdani, who will soon be father to the mayor of New York City, talking about how evil the country who gave him everything is. Go ahead.
America is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism. And the American model was exported all around the world. Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable. It is possible to do genocide. That's what Hitler realized. Second thing Hitler realized is that you don't have to have a common citizenship. You can differentiate between people. The Nuremberg laws were patterned after American laws. Anyway, the US put Indians in reservations. The US invented the model.
Hitler learned from Lincoln. That's what he said. And he said, it goes on. I mean, this is just, it would be one thing if he was sitting in Islamabad saying this, hating us. He's sitting in New York City. He's at Columbia. He is telling everyone that the U.S. is evil, and Hitler learned from Lincoln. Want to hear what else he believes? He believes suicide bombing is a legitimate tool in a military conflict. He considers suicide bombers who blow up buses, who kill children in the Middle East, they're soldiers. They're no different from soldiers shooting it out on the front lines. That lunatic, this evil, just this diabolical old man is going to be really happy in 8 days because his son, Chip off the old block, is going to be mayor in New York City, the site of 9/11. How the hell did we get here? How the hell is this possible? What are people thinking? Well, we got a sense. And by the way, the idea that Islamophobia, this made-up term, this discrimination, this mistreatment of Muslims after 9/11 is an absolute myth. Of course, in this big country, there were minor incidents. It wasn't a big deal. It was amazing how well people treated Muslims. Hell, George Bush, 6 days after 9/11, went to a mosque to celebrate the Muslim faith and say it's peaceful. There was no real backlash. It was amazing how little backlash there was, but it doesn't matter. He's making the whole thing up because he's a charlatan. He's a liar, an actor, a performer. That's all he is. He's got a big smile and he's telling you, going to make life more affordable. As soon as he gets in office, you wait. You're going to see the real radical, and he's going to keep on smiling and he's going to destroy the city. Well, he had a big rally yesterday. We'll get to the rally. These people, you wonder who's voting for him, who's passionately supporting the absolute destruction of New York City. Well, they showed up at Queens last night. We'll get to the big rally for communism, Islamicism, We'll get to the rally where thousands of people stood and chanted and cheered for the destruction of New York City. It is sickening. We got AOC, we got Bernie. We'll get to that. And I want to get to this too. 42 million people are about to lose their food stamps because of the government shutdown on November 1st. I got a question, a serious question. 42 million? We have 42 million people, like 1 in 8 or 9 in this country on the dole, on food stamps. How the hell did we get here? You're not going to believe who the majority of those people who are sponging, leeching off the system are. Maybe you will believe it, but it is frightening. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
If there's something all of us can believe in, it's hard work, self-reliance, and showing up for the people who count on us. You know, kind of like President Trump, just going hard 24/7. The difference is Donald Trump doesn't need sleep. You do. I do. It's the most important thing to good health. I was in a horrible cycle that had no end in sight. I knew I had to find something to break me free of that cycle. That's when I found Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values, hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-based ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, and melatonin. Here's the deal. Beam is giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of up to 40% off. Try their best-selling green powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. So with my discount code Gerry, G-E-R-R-Y, you can get the best-selling dream powder for just $39. Go to shopbeam.com/Gerry. Use code word Gerry at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Gerry. Use code word Gerry for up to 40% off. Well, they showed up big time last night in Queens at a tennis stadium. Thousands of commies, thousands of Muslim fanatics supporting, all of them, enthusiastically supporting the absolute destruction of our most important city. This is scary. I got to be honest. He's got the support of lots of Democrats now. They've caved. Kathy Hochul, the governor, was on stage supporting a Marxist Muslim. AOC, of course, was there. Bernie's there. They're winning. They're feeling good. I know Mamdani will be good for Republicans in the midterm, saying, look what happened in New York City. But it is still, for like Americans, decent Americans, taxpayers, this is a sad day. People like Mahmoud Mamdani have poisoned the minds of young people and have grown up thinking, oh, the only solution is we just have to tax the rich and give people free childcare, which is going to cost billions and free buses, which will be rolling drug dens, crime scenes. That's their government-owned grocery stores. Yeah, that's going to work out great. These morons. I mean, there are like 5,000 people here with a total IQ of about 12, just idiots. Every one of them, just fools, just brainwashed lemmings. Anyway, they were fired up. They're thrilled to see our biggest city descend into Marxism. Let's get to their chant. This drives me crazy. I mean, honest to God, at some point, can we get past the tax the rich? Tax the rich. That was their big chant. Tax the rich. That's AOC's big mantra. Bernie Sanders railing against billionaires. He used to rail against millionaires, but he doesn't anymore. You know why? Because he's a millionaire with 3 houses and a new book, which he's out there humping about how we have to fight the oligarchy. I mean, if this were an 8th grade class president talking, you'd say, okay, she's dumb. She's a kid. We have AOC. This is AOC, probably the most powerful person in Congress. She has forced the shutdown. She is going to primary Chuck Schumer and destroy him. In fact, there won't even be a race because Chuck Schumer will retire, as Trump has predicted, before he'll get embarrassed by this moron, this childless cat lady from New York, from Westchester, But she's up there screaming and getting all these idiots fired up. Look around her, too. Look at the people in these pictures, in these backgrounds. Does any of them work? Does any of them pay taxes? Does any of them have any pride, any appreciation for this country? The answer is definitively no, not at all. This is a stadium full of people who hate this country and want to fundamentally transform it. And this is their hero. Listen to AOC.
Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country.
She sounds like Howard Dean.
Oh, God, I know. She's going to be the next senator. Maybe she'll run for president. I'm all for that. And they break into a chant of tax the rich. Tax the rich. Can I just break something to these morons? We already tax the rich. The rich already pay a disproportionate amount of their money in taxes. The rich are funding all your little programs. Hell, the rich are probably paying the salaries of everybody there, either in welfare or some hack state city job. And once Mondami gets elected, they'll all have jobs at City Hall. They'll all be making 150, 200 grand on the rich in New York City. You know what you pay? Top tax rate for a rich person in New York City. If you look at the federal, state, and local New York City taxes. I just did the math. 51.7%. That's the high end top tax rate from the federal government. The state is 10.9. The city is 3.876. The federal 37. 51.7%. If you're rich, you telling me you're not going to move? You're not going to move when these people say we got to raise taxes on the rich above 52%? The rich, the top 1%, pay like 40% of the tax bill. The top 10% pay 90-something percent. The rich already pay more than their fair share. But it doesn't matter. It's not real policy. It's just a rallying cry for really stupid, impressionable people, followers, sheep. And they start chanting, this whole crowd, tax the rich. Oh, gee, good idea. Let's tax the rich. You idiots. What do you think they do now in New York City? Already, it's the rich pay way too much, way beyond their fair share. Those are the makers. Those are the achievers. Those are the people who hire, invest, and they're going to get the hell out. Hell, many are already getting out, going to Florida, Tennessee, hell, going to New Jersey, Connecticut, just getting out. And they don't think there's plenty. It's just tax the rich. This is a rich state, a rich city, a rich country. Let's tax the rich. And that's all they have to say to these idiots. You know what? We'll pay for all that free stuff that you get by taxing the rich. Listen to these fools. Tax the rich. Freeze the rent. See the sign behind them. Freeze the rent, free child care, free everything. Fast and free buses. Oh, yeah, the buses are going to be real fast now that they're free. Now that every homeless junkie, every pickpocket and deadbeat can get on the bus for free. That'll really make it more efficient. It's hard to believe. I understand. These people hate Trump. I understand that they love the idea of taxing the rich, but are there really that many stupid people, just morons? I guess we got the answer. I guess we know. The answer is definitively yes, there are. These people are absolute fools. And they believe Zoran Mamdani, who says his aunt couldn't wear a hijab. That's the real tragedy. The aunt couldn't wear a hijab on the subway. Not that. She got dirty looks, even if she existed. But anyway, here's the real key to the Democrats' pursuit of power. Hell, they have the power in New York. They have the power in our biggest cities, or most of our blue cities, is government dependency. That's what they rely on more than anything, telling their followers, you need us. You need government. Without government, you're nothing. They have capitalized for generations on this culture of dependency. You can't make it without us. The system is rigged against you. They don't look at the American dream the way we do. The American, you can achieve anything. You work hard. This country is the land of opportunity. That's not how they look at it. They look at it as it's not fair, it's racist, it's sexist, it's Islamophobic, and you need government to even the scales, to tax the rich and take care of the poor. That's how they view it. Without government dependency, they are nothing. Democrats today are screaming, crying because 42 million people will lose their SNAP benefits, their food stamps, their food, their free food, their free everything. And you see that number and they think you're going to say, oh no, that's tragic. I look at that number, I say, wait a second, hold on. 42 million people in this country? That's bigger than the state of California. California alone has 5.5 million people on food stamps. That's not good. That's not the American dream. There are more people with their palms out. Do some of them need it? Of course. You think all 42 million people are legitimately needy, down on their luck? Of course not. We are being scammed for trillions. And I'm glad. I'm glad they're pointing this out at this point, that these people are going to lose their food stamps. Because now we can take a look and say, who is getting these benefits? Check this out. This is the percentage of households in different demographics receiving food stamps. Afghans, 45.6%. Somali, 42.4%. So more than 4 in 10 Somalis in Minnesota and Maine and around the country are getting government benefits. And you go down the list, Iraqi, 35. I don't even know what some of these countries are. Puerto Rican, Cuban, and they're at least 25, 30% are getting food stamps. You got to go way down the list to find where's the Americans. There they are. Keep going. We go Black Americans, 25% down. Bangladeshi, Moroccan, Guatemalan, Nicaraguan, Jamaican. Keep going. Indian, white Americans. What is that number? 8.6%. So almost half of Somalis and Afghanis are on public benefits. That's just part of it. Native-born households with on any form of welfare, 39%. Illegal aliens, 59%. 59% of illegal alien households, here it is, are on either welfare, cash benefits, food, Medicaid, housing. Way more illegal aliens than native-born Americans. Hey, not even close. Look at that. Illegal alien households. What's that number? 59% on welfare? What in the hell? Thank you, Democrats, for pointing this out, because we didn't know. But this is what they're doing. They're importing a whole new class, millions and millions of people, putting them on benefits so they will stay here and they will need them. They need Democrats to fight for them so they don't have to work and contribute. That is a cancer on this country right there. That is a sickness we're living through. That most of the people getting these benefits aren't American. And they're not. They shouldn't be here. They don't. Here's what we need to do. These 42 million, we need to have them reapply. That's what we'll do. November 1st, the benefits run out and government opens up again. How about everybody reapplies and we evaluate every case, case by case, and to see if they're legitimate. And no illegal alien gets any welfare, housing, cash, food, nothing. Anybody up for that? Anyone want to see that happen? It is, that right there is just eye-opening. illuminating. You have millions, not a few, millions of illegal aliens stealing public benefits and Democrats willing to fight for them. I don't think you're going to see a bigger red line between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats want to keep that gravy train going. It is just alarming. Again, 5.5 million people in California alone, one state. That's 5.5. That's bigger than many states are on welfare. And those poor folks, they're not going to be able to buy their Uncrustables in a week. It's over. Then what? We're going to hear these sob stories about starving immigrants in the street. Well, they can go home. That's the solution. They don't have to stay here in this cruel country that won't give them everything: food, hotels, phones, lawyers, translators, you name it. Man, I love that. I want Democrats to keep fighting for the 42 million because that is going to wake some people up. All right, we got to get so much more here to get to. We got to get to this Cuomo ad. I hate Cuomo. He's a creep. He's a grandma killer, but he came out with the greatest campaign ad I think I've ever seen. Just a remarkable ad. And we'll get to the latest also on the gambling scandal that is roiling right now and going to get worse for not just the NBA, NFL, maybe baseball, maybe every sport, but it is going to be a problem right now for professional sports. We'll get to that more, but first.
Excuse me.
What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla that is riding on top of a T-Rex? Confidence, that's what you get. Pure confidence. The kind of confidence that you really need in the bedroom for that next level laser wolf riding a raptor in a Lamborghini through outer space type of experience. That's where Rusiette Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a confidence game changer. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula to help you get hard and go the distance. Plus, effects last up to 36 hours, which means you can feel confident all day and night and then some into the next day, too. Getting started is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online at Rusiette.com. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rusiette.com and use promo code Newsmax for 15% off your first order. That's Rusiette.com, code Newsmax. Make sure to use my code so they know we sent you. Before we get to that Cuomo ad, which I love, we have seen many instances, many issues where the Trump administration has boxed in the Democrats, forced them to defend the 20-side or 80-20 issue or 90-10 issue, forced them to defend an open border, crime in the streets, boys and girls locker rooms. It has been a masterclass in politics, in forcing Democrats to defend the indefensible. And I think I didn't recognize this initially, but the ballroom, the big, beautiful Donald J. Trump ballroom that is under construction as we speak, could be the best chess move of all. Clearly, Trump has been he talked about it in his first term, saying we need a ballroom. And when you think about it, yeah, we do. You have state dinners in tents with porta potties in the capital of the strongest, most prosperous nation in the world. Seems kind of crazy that there's no ballroom. So Trump's rectifying that. Construction is underway. Democrats are crying, weeping over the destruction of the White House, which is comical because, as we mentioned last week, many, many presidents have done renovations, and they call it unprecedented. And it is, because it's the first time taxpayers aren't spending a dime. So he gets a new ballroom with his own money and the contributions, donations of various companies, corporations, individuals. It's going to be spectacular. We know that. It's going to be permanent. I think the next president, if it's a Democrat, gets to use it to hold state dinners. They get to dance in the Trump ballroom. It was a brilliant idea, and it's going to be a gorgeous addition to the White House. But Democrats, as we know, have lost their minds. So they're all kicking and screaming, saying he must be stopped. He's not going to be stopped. He's going to do it, and it's going to be great. But the They have a Democrat primary to win in a couple of years before 2028. And we know there's going to be, 15 people up there, all the crazies, all, Newsom will be there, and maybe Kamala and AOC and Eric Swalwell. Here is Swalwell tweeting over the weekend of what has to be done about the big, beautiful ballroom. This is hard to believe this is real. We know he's a piece of garbage. We know he's just the worst. He writes, don't even think of seeking the Democrat nomination for president unless you pledge to take a wrecking ball to the Trump ballroom on day one. So here's a sitting congressman demanding his colleagues in the Democrat Party destroy the ballroom on day one after it's built and being used and decorated and beautiful, and everyone's going to get a tour and say, wow, that's pretty nice. And it's pretty cool that taxpayers didn't have to fund it. And Democrats are going to demand its destruction in the primary, in the debates. Everybody, raise your hand if you're going to destroy the ballroom. Do you have any doubt that they will all raise their hands, that they will promise to tear it down? I'm not sure they'll go ahead with it, go through with it, but that's the position he forced them in, where they have to destroy a perfectly good ballroom. I can't wait. It's going to be just wild watching these lunatics try to top each other on how much they hate Trump. That is really the only winning issue they have among their base. I mean, even their base doesn't believe men belong in women's sports. Even their base doesn't really believe in open borders and crime in the streets. But they all believe Trump is evil and his beautiful ballroom. And now he says he may name it after himself. He should. The Trump ballroom. I mean, I guess they could change the name, but they're still going to use it. They're going to love it. Everybody's going to agree it is a nice addition to the White House. But can't wait. The primaries are going to be so fun. Who's not going to be in the primary? He used to think he was going to be president, but Andrew Cuomo. It's hard to believe. Again, there are a lot of people to blame for what's about to happen in New York City. New York Democrats, top of the list. This is the best they could come up with. Andrew Cuomo, a man who had to leave the governor's office in disgrace because he killed 15,000 elderly New Yorkers and lied about it and covered it up. That didn't end his term, his governorship. No, he also couldn't keep his hands to himself and was sexually harassing all his employees. So that sleazebag is the only answer, the only alternative to a communist Muslim fanatic. Anyway, blame the Democrats. That's what they came up with. But I have to give Cuomo his campaign credit. This could be the best damn ad I think I've ever seen. It's AI, but that's okay. We live in the AI era. It's a little long. We'll play some of it, but it just exposes Mamdani for the danger he is. He is a real danger to law-abiding New Yorkers, to the whole way of life in New York. Again, he doesn't believe in putting people in prison. You think that's a good idea in New York City? He hates the cops. He hates Jews. He hates capitalism. And we're about to elect a mayor. Here's Cuomo's last-ditch effort to convince people to vote for him.
Zohran Mamdani's opponents want you to believe he's an inexperienced radical whose policies will make New York City more dangerous. But what do his actual supporters think?
Mamdani isn't crazy.
He's just trying to even the playing field.
Give everyone a fair shot. Sure, he said multiple times we need to defund the police, but that was just a metaphor.
And yes, he did say crime is a social construct, but that was also a metaphor.
His main backer, the Democratic Socialists' ideas are common sense, such as
Decriminalizing misdemeanors, like shoplifting.
third-degree assault, trespassing, prostitution,
and drunk driving.
With plans to decriminalize all drugs, Mamdani will be a job creator for drug dealers.
Instead of helping us homeless get off the streets and into the mental health facilities we need, he wants to give us safe injection sites to do crack and let us sleep in subway carts.
These are actual policies Mamdani and the DSA want to implement on day one.
When a woman's being domestically abused, she finally won't have to deal with some pesky cop to arrest the abuser, but now a social worker to help, kumbaya the situation.
Breathe in.
Breathe out.
Mom Donnie is finally lowering jail sentences. Guilty! But Mom Donnie says you're free to go. Who cares if legalizing prostitution statistically leads to an increase for sex trafficking of women and young girls by 70%?
You can't have safety without equality.
For unlawful abiding citizens like us, globalize the intifada. I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal.
I'm a criminal.
Yep. I'm a criminal.
For Zoran. For Zoran Mamdani.
I didn't have a real job until I was 30, but sure, give me the keys to the city. What's the worst that can happen?
That is so good. Man, not going to work. He's not going to lose. Cuomo's not going to win, but credit to him for that. And by the way, the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, Mamdani's party, you want to see what they believe in? Get me that tweet from the DSA about the murder of 2 Jewish embassy workers in D.C. We remember that, a Muslim fanatic, actually a Muslim supporter. He's not a Muslim. He's a supporter of, free Palestine and all that. Murdered 2 young people on the street. We told you about that. We talked about it. Here's what they believe. This is the party, the group he belongs to and who supports him, who's fighting hard to get him elected. And here's what they endorse. The Palestinian struggle is the tip of the spear against global imperialism. And imperialism has made the entire world a battlefield. It is justified to fight it by any means necessary without regard for geography. This holds especially true for those of us struggling behind enemy lines in the U.S., an entity that's an equal party to all crimes committed by the Zionists, whether in the besieged Gaza Strip, the Red Sea, the south of Lebanon, or the heart of the U.S., there must be consequences for genocidal Zionist imperialism, and those consequences are glorious. They write, the DSA, Democrats, Socialists of America, leave it up. Here's what they write to that post. Excellent statement that we are proud to add our name to. Free Elias Rodriguez, and all political prisoners. Rodriguez shot 2 innocent people, murdered 2 embassy workers, Jewish Americans, in cold blood, executed them on the streets of Washington, D.C. And Zoran Mamdani's party says, free him and cause him a political prisoner. And what did I say last week? 25% of Jewish voters in New York City are prepared to vote for the man who wants to free a guy who assassinated 2 Jewish kids in D.C. What is wrong? The self-hatred of these people is just mind-blowing. How could any Jewish person, the city's not going to be safe for you. If you look Jewish, it's going to be like London. Where last week a man was stopped by the cops and told to turn around and walk away because he had a Jewish star necklace. He told he was making Muslim protesters uncomfortable. A woman was stopped from walking her dog on her own street in London, told she couldn't do that because the Muslims didn't like dogs. That's coming to New York. That insanity is coming to New York with this guy. Wake up, Jewish people. Wake up, New Yorkers. I think, it's too late. It's over. It's sad. But before we go, a couple more names to add to the gambling scandal. Kevin Garnett, reportedly part of one of the rigged poker games, as was Antonio Gates. So you got NBA legend, you got an NFL legend, and the New York Post says there's a prominent baseball player who has yet to be named. It's bringing everybody together. This is going to be wild as this thing unfolds. Garnett was allegedly, he walked away, didn't want to be part of it, according to him. But they were the face cards. They were the draw to get these whales into these rigged card games and steal. One guy said he lost $1 million in these card games with celebrities. Imagine being so sucked in that you sit down to this rigged card game just because Chauncey Billups or Antonio Gates is at the table. That is pretty embarrassing, but it's going to get worse before it gets better for professional sports. This was the day we knew it was coming, when they would be embroiled in a real gambling scandal. This is much worse than Pete Rose. This is worse than the Black Sox. It really is when you get right down to it. These guys were making millions and millions, and they couldn't stay away. They're just adrenaline junkies, and they wanted to be part of these scams and schemes. And there'll be more people like Terry Rozier, who literally threw games, shaved points for a few bucks. But all right, before we go, don't have time for our NFL Minute. Ironhead, I'll just say the Patriots are going to go 13-4. Yes, they are going to go 13-4 and go to the playoffs. They have the easiest schedule. They have a great quarterback, a really good coach, a really good team. They are going to roll into the playoffs, and it's hard to believe they threw last year away. You know, Bob Kraft made his DEI hire, and they started the season with Jacoby Brissett, not this kid, Drake May, who is great. And they pissed away the whole season. And now we get to see him and how good he is. He should have started day one. Mike Vrabel should have been the coach last year. But, hey, that's in the past now. They are rolling. Look at their schedule. There's not a game they can't win. Most games they'll be favored in. And there's
expect they'll probably lose to the Buccaneers and the Bills then the rest of the way.
Maybe. Yep, that'd be 2 losses, and then they'll go 13-4. You know what? Shedeur Sanders obviously came in with a lot of fans. How bad must he be?
Terrible.
In practice to lose the job to Dylan Gabriel, who's one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. This little midget was like check down Charlie like I've never seen before. How many 5-yard passes did he throw when they needed 10? He couldn't make a quick decision. He couldn't take a chance. He came in with no interceptions. You know why? Because he doesn't want to take any chances. He's cautious. He's not playing loose and free. He was terrible. And apparently Shedeur Sanders is worse. Typical Cleveland Browns. But that will do it for today. Wild day. Just getting ready for the next insane comments, statements, lies from Zoran Mandami, who will not be stopped, who will be the mayor in, what did I say? How many days are we looking at? 8 days. God, sad day in America. We forgot 9/11. We sure did. But that will do it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
But we must remember, in a time such as this, we are not the crazy ones, New York City. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane.